Yeah, thank you very much. Welcome again. My name is Olumuyiwa Oludayo. I'm your host this evening from wherever you are in the world, from wherever city and state you may be in Nigeria. If you're joining us, welcome to this webinar on leading people through uncertainty. Okay, so I think I'm told that I should advise you all to join using internet audio. A lot of folks don't have audio. So please join using internet audio. If you're joining this webinar, please join using internet audio. All right. Thank you for sharing that thought with us. The room is getting fuller. Right now, we're just about 30 in the room, and we're about to start. Unfortunately, I can't ask you to begin to introduce yourselves today. What I'll do is definitely I'll seek your permission at the end of this meeting to share your contact with one another if you will be willing to, so that you can meet those who have participated in this event with you. And so, yes, we are here live. I'm reaching out to you from the city of Lagos, Nigeria. How is COVID-19? Is it affecting you at all? I don't know, but if it is, I mean, everybody has felt it. We are on lockdown here in Lagos, lockdown in Ogun State, lockdown in, where other state is that now? Lockdown in Abuja, lockdown in Osun State, Oyo State, everywhere locked down. And that's why we're here. For those of us who have our businesses and run it, right now, it's possibly a tough time. And many of us do not even know how to proceed. How do we manage the business? How do we manage the people that are going to be supporting us to achieve our business vision? And I have a friend of mine here, Abayomi Adedeji. Yomi is the CEO of Softcom. Just in a bit, I would introduce him and bring him in. But for now, let me share with us how our interaction will be going. I'm going to be welcoming you all. I see a number of people joining us from the UK. I see people joining us from Kaduna. I've seen Zamfara, Nasarawa, Lagos. Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. Why are we having this webinar today? We're having the webinar because the outbreak of COVID-19 has shown that moments of uncertainty will always come. The moments that we are in right now will require a lot of change of lifestyle for many people. Many people cannot continue to do the things they want to do. A number of people also have to halt the way they conduct their businesses. And all of these things will influence personal finance. You can't afford the things you want to afford, you want to buy. You have to make a lot of savings. You have to cut in your extravagances. It will affect relationships, how you manage yourself, your spouse, for those of you who are married, how to manage your children this period. This is the time to know if truly the people that you're connected to are really committed to you. In this season also, work has been affected. The worker, and the workplace has been affected. And for you here, business also has been affected amongst all the other areas of human life. And these difficult times serve as a clarion call for our leaders. Many people are looking up to us as leaders to help them navigate through this season. They want us to show them the way. They want us to empower them. They want us to help them articulate a vision. They want us to help them with delivering results. They want to help us. They want to see how we can equip them. They want us to support their worthy causes. They want to see us how we will harness our financial and non-financial resources, our human and non-human resources. And ultimately, they want to see how we can inspire greatness in them. And so for us, all the business leaders are looked upon by their employees to provide a safe haven during this period. And so this webinar seeks to equip all the leaders who are here. For those of you who own your several businesses, this webinar seeks to equip you with insights that are capable of ensuring success in spite of these global challenges. So as we make progress, I would want to invite you and give you a few ground rules as we begin. Please note that this call is being recorded, as you may have found out at the time you signed in. This call is being recorded, and we will be sharing with you the recordings of it once we are done. This is being recorded. We'll be sharing with you once we are done, so you can have access to it. Peradventure technology fails you in your side, and you're pushed in and out of the webinar. Okay. Secondly, we will expect that questions will be asked using the chat room. A couple of you are already talking to me in the chat room. Please ask your questions in the chat room, and then we will be ready to move. Let me just say one more thing before I invite Yomi to speak to us. At the end of this webinar, I'll be making available a book to us. It's my first ebook. I've never published an ebook. So I'll be sharing an ebook with us in our several emails for all those who registered. I'll be sending you an ebook titled Connecting with Others, How to Win with Other People. It's a book that talks about the principles of networking and how to value relationships and the people around it. And so let me now do a brief introduction of my friend and brother, Abayomi Adedeji. Yomi is the CEO of Softcom Limited. Softcom Limited, as you will see on your screen, is a thinking company. Softcom is on a mission to connect people and businesses with meaningful innovation at scale. Yomi leads an organization that is human-centered in their approach to problem solving, and they are currently focused on four problems in four foundational areas that enable people and businesses thrive and that will open improvement to society, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa. Softcom, as led by Yomi, focuses on identity, learning, payments, and data. They have engineered products that are addressing the problems in these areas, while their research lab, Moonshot, is focused on continuous innovation to improve the products and engineer new ones within these segments. Softcom currently has 4 products: Pass ID, which solves the identity problem; Koya, which is involved with learning; AOO, solving the problem on payment; and Data Beaver, working to look to solving the problems in data. All the products of Softcom are built towards improving people and business operations in Africa. Softcom always strive to build solutions and technology that will ultimately positively impact the lives of people. And with the industry expertise they've got across several sectors, Softcom aims to continually deliver transformational value to people, businesses, and our clients, and they'll be enabling all-around societal impacts. One remarkable thing that Softcom did, I think in 2017, 2018, was that their expertise in thinking and products have placed 500,000 young people in jobs and provided access to learning via their learning management system. They have also been able to deliver loans to 1 million petty traders in Nigeria, those who have been previously unbanked, working together with the Bank of Industry. and they have provided visibility to trade activities and merchandise development for MTN Nigeria, which has helped to guide the retail strategy and planning. Yomi says, in summary, we're building products and enable platforms to deliver results. And so, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, there are no boys and girls here. I'd like to welcome to speak to us, Yomi Adedeji, the CEO of Softcom. If you can clap, clap where you are. I can hear you though, but clap. Yomi, you've got the floor now. You're welcome. Is Yomi here? I see Yomi here. Okay, people are clapping. They say they need to see our faces. Okay, Yomi, I want to unmute you now, so I'm unmuting you. So I have unmuted you, Yomi.
Thank you, Doctor. Let me start by thanking you for inviting me to this webinar. And thank you for everyone that signed up and is joining us this evening to talk about what seems to be impacting every one of us around the world. Thank you very much. I think it's quite an opportunity to be speaking to people that I consider as like my peers, attempting to solve one problem or the other in various industries, and also attempting to figure out, just like myself, what is the best thing to do in the moment of crisis, and how do we collectively as a group of people think around solutions to problems we may face in our organizations, and also even problems we'll face in our society. So I'm very pleased to be here to share my views and to also learn from your contributions and your questions as well. So thank you, Dr. Olumuyiwa. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yomi. So you're good to go. Shoot. We're all here to listen and learn from you and share as well.
Thank you, Doctor. Let me start by talking about what I believe as a person to be the impact of this pandemic on society in general before we get to our businesses. I think it's very interesting where we are. I mean, I was telling my friend yesterday that I never thought I would live to see the day that cash wouldn't be king in Nigeria. People literally say no to cash now. They don't want to get a virus through a cash transmission. And I would say it's a huge leap in many ways. But I think this situation has brought to us many positives and also a bunch of negatives. Let me share my view on what I think are the positives. I think the first stems from something I learned from my wife, which is literally that we're all the same. Whether you're black, you're white, you're tall or you're slim, young or old, literally the same blood runs inside of us. And all of the labels we've used over time to further discriminate ourselves, whether as based on our color, based on our economic class, or based on our political class, the COVID situation has eroded it all. I mean, you have a situation where a president or a prime minister of a leading economy, our own, what you call like people who kind of like gave us independence a couple of years ago. The prime minister of England has coronavirus. The governor of my state has coronavirus. The young man has coronavirus. The rich, the poor, like literally all of us are same. And I think it's an interesting place for the world to be once again. And I think if you are quite a spiritual person, you know what stems from when God says something like we're all the same, and He's giving us, all of us, the ability to create and to do good and to do all the things we want to do in the world. I think this is another moment that has reminded every one of us that we're all the same. I think another important thing that has come out of this is the importance of family. We all live a very fast-moving life in this digital world. Things are competing for our time, for attention. It's almost impossible in many cases to balance the wheel of life. But we're all now constrained to our houses in many cases. And I mean, the essence of family is finding its way back into society. For me, I also believe family is the foundation for every person's identity. Wherever you are, stems from where you've come from. Obviously, that doesn't mean this is who you will be forever, but finding time to now connect all of us back to family, to that important value of society, I think is really a big positive for this moment as well. I also think a big positive is people over money. I think we've all lived the world is an expensive place to live in, whether you're in Lagos or you're in London. And earning a wage or earning an income from our business sometimes drives us to go a huge extra length. And think about it, the richest man in the world or the poorest man at this time is faced with the same challenges. And it's reminding all of us that humanity wins over everything. And all of us being together, the unity that is what is possible from our unity is amazing. And I think it's quite a positive for the world, even though it's happening in a crisis. I also believe that cars are now irrelevant. I think cars are going to lose their value in the next few years. Personally, I've made a commitment to myself that I will never buy an expensive car anymore. The entire purpose of a car in itself, if you think about it, like, should I really have gone for that meeting if I could do it on a video call? Should I really have made that trip that I didn't really want to make if I could just get on Zoom? Now, even old and young, everybody's accepting Zoom. People who wouldn't want to do a meeting before online are also accepting Zoom. I think it's also a great positive for the world. I think as well, there are some negatives. And I believe maybe our conversation today can start from there. Some of the negative really is that the world has been investing wrongly. If you think about it, where all over the world, people are struggling for health resources, tools to use to attack and to combat this pandemic that we're all facing. But if you think about the United States of America as an example, over the last 10 years, $18 trillion has been spent on war equipment. I mean, preparing for nuclear attacks, empowering the military, and positioning the US as a posture of military power. But that same military power can't even manufacture ventilators at the rate which it is. And you're asking a question really that if the world has been investing rightly, should we be in this situation where we're all now faced with a challenge to humanity, but we're better prepared for a war than a challenge to humanity? And I think it's also a time for all of our leaders globally to rethink even the idea of globalization. And maybe the only thing I like about Trump, I know most people don't like Trump. I don't want to have a blanket view of him. I take some of the things that he talks about around localization. If a country is very global dependent, I mean, as we've seen, think about Nigeria, the borders are shut. What it means as well is the shelves will soon be empty. Babies might not even have food to feed because in many cases, all of these things are imported. Things that are used for sustaining life and for surviving in its essence. I believe every society must make an investment to be self-sustainable, to be self-sufficient as well, and to be ready for crises similar to this in the future. I think the last time this happened around the world, I think it was in Spain. I think it was the Spain flu. It had a name. I don't recall at this time, but I remember that 50 million people around the world died. So unfortunately, I think all of us must prepare for some sort of. I'm attempting not to speak in a negative form, but I think some sort of the fact that this may even impact people we may eventually know. Right now, it's leaders, it's celebrities, it's people we hear about. But today, a colleague of mine in the office, for example, our uncle was diagnosed of coronavirus, and it's kind of like just now coming home, that a person you know. So I think all of us must prepare for this eventuality. I also think as a general negative really is that poverty shouldn't exist globally at the rate in which it exists. I think it's really shameful that a huge percentage of us, if I take Lagos as an example, there are 18 million extremely poor people in Lagos out of a population of 25 million people. If 18 million people are extremely poor oftentimes is defined by an inability to even eat when you don't work. So if you don't go earn a wage, a daily wage or an hourly wage for blue collar workers, majority of people in Lagos can't eat. Now, if that is the case, and we're all told to be at home, what does this now mean for these people? And when a person is faced by a desire to survive, they can go any length in a bid to survive, as the case is. So I think that's a huge negative, and I think every one of us must take on the challenge of we can't have a society that is filled with poor people, and not just poor, almost ill-equipped to even make any change required in their life. I think that's a real negative for me. I think the last I would touch on really is just the sheer, I would say, discrimination that is evolving back. Even though I said a positive of we're now all the same, I wasn't pleased to learn from a French TV this afternoon that was recommending that the virus drugs they should go try it in Africa. I mean, as far as it's concerned, we're like the guinea pigs of anything that needs to be tried. I think that's kind of like a low for France as a country, and for even the station that aired it. I'll say those are some of the negatives I've seen. But in relation to business, which is why we're here today, I think first we must now be candid with ourselves. I think before you can solve any problem, the very first thing required for problem solving, in my view, is to define the problem properly. I think a problem that is not well defined can be hardly solved. I think it's important for all of us to now face the reality of we now live in a world where our customers are going to be primarily focused on surviving. And when you're trying to survive, your desire might not be to buy a next fancy thing or something that you may just need for the shelf. Everybody's just waiting to go through the crisis. A second reality we must also all bear in mind is people would save first before they spend, and they will only spend mostly on essentials. They will want to spend on things that mean they can continue to exist as a group of people. And if we diagnose our business, there are important questions to answer. Does our business today, whether the products we sell or the services we offer, fall into the category of survival? So I'll share a bunch of questions I've been asking myself. I think these questions are also things I think many people must ask themselves in this period. So number one really is, what is the state of our products and the state of our services in readiness for a world where business is now about who you are in touch with, not who you can touch. Since touch is no more acceptable in today's world, right? So business now is going to be about who you're in touch with, and how ready are my products and my services for this reality. Also, how ready are my products and services for the need people have today? And don't forget that the need people have today will be very focused on survival itself. Another reality and implication for business will be that, which all of this will lead to revenues may drop. People may find themselves losing customers, losing commitments. But I think something to say to kick off possibly the third part of our conversation is this is a short-term problem. As a business leader, I don't think any one of us should be making decisions that have long-term impact on our businesses, on the people we work with, on the products we offer, on the customer we serve, primarily because of this short-term problem. If in any way these decisions are being made, it must be for the purpose of thinking about the world we will live in after COVID. It can't be for the purpose of just the problem we have today. So we have to analyze our business. I think I've mentioned that every company needs to be a digital company. Whether you're selling air, or you're manufacturing baby food, or you're delivering raw food to people, or you're offering training services, whatever it is that you do as a company, this is an important moment to sit back and really think that, how do I make my company digital focused? I also think an important thing to think about is business is going to be a little bit more about interactions than propositions. What I mean by that is we've lived in a proposing world. So somebody places an offer to us and say, oh, I sell this product at this price. Can you buy it from me? Or I have expertise to offer you this service. Can I come and talk to you around how I can do it for you as a company? So all of that has really been about proposing to our customers. But I think this is a time to understand that business will be about interaction more than about proposition. And I think it's a time to also, within all of our various businesses, think about how do we make it very human-centric. So for example, if you did have salespeople go out before to make sales to customers who need to buy products from you, the next question to really think is, how do you get your customers to a digital place? And how do you get this digital place to walk them through a journey of landing them in front of a salesperson without having to ever meet the person? Booking a calendar meeting if it requires it, or even literally offering your service to them without any human interaction. I think it's something everyone must carefully think about. I also think this is not really about automation. So oftentimes we're all very quick to say, oh, let's go maybe build a website or build an e-commerce platform or build a platform. What we must do must be to really think of the audience we're serving. It may be WhatsApp that is their best digital channel. It may be phone calls. It may be emails. We all have to think around how do we make our business digital friendly at this time. I also think I wanted to highlight intimacy. Business leaders need to understand that people would forget what COVID did to them, but they will never forget what people and the businesses stood for at the time of COVID. So as a company and as a business leader, I, for example, have an intimacy plan in Softcom. I have a very clear plan on how we intend to keep our customers engaged in this entire period. And it's not just going to be about business. At this time, it's not just about business. It's really about keeping in touch, really ensuring that every single person who is in contact with our business, either as a customer, as a prospect, receives some information from us. Whether it's an information around how we're addressing COVID, information around how we think they can be safe in their various places, whether it's also information around how our business can even support them in the efforts. We've carefully thought about those things. I think it's important that every business leader has an intimacy plan for this period. I'm not fully aware around the diverse group who I'm speaking to. What I mean by that is I don't know whether we're very consumer-focused people or B2B-focused people. But irrespective of whatever segment you belong in, people are about, businesses are about people. I know this is not a class for marketing and sales, but people make decisions for people more than they make decisions for products and services. So I think it's very important that at this time, every one of us has some type of intimacy plan. So I'm going to highlight after this some thoughts and some questions around 4 key things. These 4 key things, for me, I believe is at the heart of getting a business to succeed or to respond to any situation. And number 1 really is the product and services the business offers. Number 2 is the people the business works with in a bid to offer those products and services. So I'll call that your people. Number 3 is the customers you intend to deliver these goods and services to. So I'll call that your customers. And number 4 is the operating environment you found yourself, which is your society. Whether it's in the UK, whether it's in Nigeria, whether it's in Kaduna, whether it's in Lagos, what are you going to do as a business leader to respond to this issue within your society? I think I've spoken a lot about your product and services. I'm just going to reiterate that 1 first is to be very candid with yourself, do a factual check around where do I fall into? Am I an essential commodity? Am I a non-essential commodity? I believe a lot of us might find ourselves in the non-essential commodity side, but that doesn't mean that there's a problem. It just means this is the new reality that we are facing and we found ourselves. So, and if we're in the non-essential, how do we want to ensure that at this point in time, we do not in any way pedal down on reaching our customers? So kind of like adequately think around our product and think around what are the new ways today and in the future that our company will not just be ready to respond to this situation, but also be prepared for any eventuality that the world will be less driven by human touch and be a lot about just interactions and digital interactions. And how do we become digital ready? I think those are questions we need to ask around our products and services. And then for our people, this is a very touchy issue. And I've seen comments everywhere around companies struggling with fulfilling monthly commitments to their staff, people struggling with even some of the promotional commitments they've made to people based on business expectation, based on market expectation. I want to say this is the time to really calm down and be in control. The reality is a business, there's a full definition of an entrepreneur. Someone who has put in risk in a bid to achieve profit. I think it's pretty that simple. Risk is established, profit is expected. So you're also now in a moment of risk. And for your people, you want to also do what I think as a non-emotional classification of these people. So you want to be able to think about what are the people that are core to you fulfilling your business needs? And what are the people that are support services to that in this case? Now, you may also want to have a candid one-on-one conversation with each person, letting them know what the current situation is. I mean, this is a function of the size of the company. In some cases, it might need to be through your leaders, through their direct reports. You might want to have a candid conversation with each person, letting them see what their work looks like in this moment. And if for any reason, and I'll kind of like get to how do you stay afloat, right? You already anticipate that you may have issues with fulfilling your commitments. You want to be upfront with that. What people struggle with the most is uncertainty. People love to be clear. They like to know, okay, in this situation, it's there, it's bad, but what exactly am I dealing with? I don't think this is a time to leave your people confused. You have to over-communicate to every one of your people, all of your leaders within your company, all of the people who serve them as employees or as colleagues or as partners. They must get something very clear from the company in a bid to know, oh, where is my situation now? Please bear this in mind. You're thinking about your business and you're thinking about its survival and its growth and possibly how to respond to some of these issues. But for each of your people, all they are really worried about is them surviving first and not getting in contact with coronavirus. The second to that is the safety of their jobs. The third to that is the economic means to progress in this moment and the economic means to even look forward to a better future. You really want to ensure you're clear in your communication to each person. And people are very understanding once you're upfront with them. So I think that's an important plan for people. The second bit to that, if you're now in a place where you can afford and you can provide the resources needed to all of your people at this time, I think it's important to have a COVID plan for them. As an example, for us as a company, we're seeing about 39% drop in our operating costs, primarily because our offices are not going to be open during the days anymore. We've shut down our offices. This saving in costs, we're not just saying, oh, because we're not paying for light, internet connectivity, maybe some of the services we typically will utilize if we're operating fully. How do we take a percentage of it and give it back to the people in a bid to provide them internet connectivity in their homes, possibly power? And how do we also do so periodically? I think it's also important to have almost a COVID response plan for your people in this period. And that plan could just involve just catering to them, talking to them, being there and really engaging with them. Additionally, a step we've also taken, which stems from a question we're asking ourselves is, people love the idea of remote, at least in the company that I work. However, forced remote is different from remote which you submitted yourself to. So we think people will go through mental issues at this time, from depression to just an inability to find people to connect with. And this digital only world that we now live in because of this issue, or at least that has been growing from time, might be a challenge for many people. So we've engaged the services of what we call like a therapist to kind of like do one-on-one sessions with each of our people once every month to just cater to their well-being, speak to them, let them understand what they're going through. Some of these things aren't expensive at all, and they go a long way in in ensuring that you have the right balance for the people that are working with you at this time, and also just to show that you truly care about the well-being of your people. I think it's important to also to think about that in terms of our steps to take. Now, let me go to your customers, which really a customer is the source of business, and all of us exist because the problem exists that we want to solve for a customer. And beyond the fact that says customer is king, customer is really, really king, because most businesses wouldn't exist if, or all businesses wouldn't exist if customers don't exist for it, as the case may be. So I think this is also a very important thing to think deeply about. Like, how do you plan to keep in touch with your customer? I've mentioned that I believe in something. I believe customers are the products. And the amount of customers you're able to keep in touch with and keep connected to your business, the more your business will progress. So at this time, you want to ensure, I think I articulated that as well earlier, you have an intimacy plan, you have an engagement plan around the services they typically get from you. So as an example, if I sell shoes and I don't, and I possibly know that maybe my shoes may not be essential for people at this moment, it doesn't mean I shouldn't be communicating with my customers. My communication may stem from, even though you can't wear shoes at this moment, here are the 5 things you should not do to ensure you can stay safe from coronavirus. Here are opportunities to pre-buy a product from us. I think I'll speak to that on staying afloat. So we really want to think around what are the ways we will use to engage our customers. And our customers shouldn't stop at the people who are already doing business with us. Our customers should extend to people we've been speaking to, people we've been reaching out to. Everyone is always looking for a customer. But guess what? Every customer is now in just one place. Everyone is always looking for a customer, either in their offices, online in some cases, in the market, in physical locations. But right now, every single customer is in just one place. That is really a big opportunity for a business person. So this isn't a time to roll back on communicating your products, communicating your services, but this is a time to be sensitive about how you do so, because everybody's online. So if everybody's online, that means everybody can see literally what is going on around the world. And how do you ensure that your communication to your audience is COVID compliant, if I can put it that way? I think the last bit of it is our society. I think a true business leader and any well-meaning entrepreneur should never neglect their operating environment. I've called the operating environment to tie it to business, because you exist as a business in a place and you're serving people either in that place or around the world. The duty that this moment places upon us is to try and figure out, how do I want to help? And help could be as simple as just providing information to people. Help could be as simple as finding people around you who may not have access to even survival needs at this time. It could be food, it could be even a person to talk to. This isn't a time to be sheltering people. I wouldn't advise anyone to shelter a stranger at this time, but this is a time to extend a hand of support for someone to also get shelter in whatever form that it is available at this time. So I think it's important that all of us actively think about our society and what role we can play and what action we can take, whether it's to use our voice, to use our resources, and to use our reach in addressing today's current concerns. There was a question around how can a business stay afloat? And as I thought about that question, for me, I was thinking, wow, I'm actually figuring this out myself. But I have a bunch of questions I'm asking myself that I think I'm happy to share. And maybe you can also ask yourself. I think the very first one is to go into the depth of innovation as an idea. Innovation has been often talked about and seen as a technology thing, or you build a product. We've just launched this new fintech platform, or this new platform that delivers blood to people who need blood in hospitals. Those things are oftentimes thought about as innovation. But really, innovation is just any new method to do anything. It could be, what are the new methods for managing my people? What are the new methods for reaching to my customers? I think for a business to stay afloat at this moment, we all must wear a hat or a creative hat, an innovative hat, looking at all of the various areas that drive our core. I like to simplify business to revenue, cost, and offering. For me, I think about it as offering is what you intend to present to your audience, either as a product or service. Revenue is what you intend to collect from them. Cost is how you intend to fulfill it and how you intend to stay alive. You want to deeply innovate in each area. You want to innovate in revenue. And a revenue innovation might be what is known as future pricing or future commitments. So if you have a service or you have products that customers may not need at this time, or you don't even have a means, even if they need it at this time, maybe you don't even have a means of getting it to them. You want to think of how do I innovate that product and service? You want to also think about, do I have ideas around, oh, customer A, this thing, you normally will buy it from me for 500 Naira. Or if you buy from me right now, we'll deliver after COVID, it's going to save you 10%. Or you can buy for because people are also already planning for life after this. And how you structure your messaging, how you structure your thinking on innovating to engage them would be of huge advantage for every business at this time. So I think innovation is one in terms of thinking about staying afloat. I think in terms of your customers, this isn't a time to reduce share of voice, but it's just a time to rethink how share of voice is gained. I think I'd also mentioned earlier that this isn't for me a time to be quiet as a business, not just as a leader's voice, but even as a business. Every business must contribute to the discourse on COVID virus, on what is going on with it, on its impact on society. And every business must also attempt to put forward what it plans to do or what it's doing for its people, what it's doing for its customers. I think these are some of the ways to attract people to us. Oftentimes, there's a saying in marketing that people tend towards similarities. When you explain emotions or you explain experiences, people associate it with things they've seen before. So how do we kind of like key into that ideology in itself and attempt to connect to our customers better at this time? I think it's also a time to think about cutting costs. Not cutting costs. I believe that no person or no staff of any organization should be affected at this time. I don't believe in that practice. In our company, we've made a commitment to our people that we're not going to lay anybody off. Even if there's no place for you to clean anymore as a cleaner, or there's no office for you to administer as an admin person, this isn't a time where we plan to lay anybody off. But this is also a time that we plan to do repurposing. So one of the things we're thinking about is, if this issue extends more than 4 weeks, we may have to start thinking about how do our non-essential people, and when I mean non-essential people, I'm referring to the core of our offering, right? People who are support services to our offering. How do we repurpose their work? How do we get them to find new skills that they didn't have before? So I think those are things that we're thinking around on staying afloat. Also on capacity development for people in general, we're asking ourselves questions around how prepared are people who work in, for example, commercial, in marketing, in sales, for this new world that is interaction focused. Someone will have a skill to document very properly a proposal or a presentation. But in the time where many people aren't reading proposals or reading presentations, and people are just all in touch with the statistics around coronavirus, how do you build interaction skills? So we're also exposing our people to new training. We're taking advantage of all of the training opportunities online to get our people digital ready, to get them digital focused. I think those are like ways to also think around staying afloat. I also believe that this is a time to ask, who are your partners? Every business, whether you consciously do it or not, has what I always oftentimes call a partner ecosystem for success. People who you rely on, you connect with, you do business with, you reach out to. In some cases, some of your customers are also your partners. You have to be creative. What are the ways to seek for support from your partners at this time if you're going to go through any financial challenge, whether in meeting your obligation or even in staying afloat, right? I know Nigeria is not necessarily a bank-friendly nation, but do you have a bank that you can connect with? Do you have But even though I've mentioned you have a bank you can connect with, this isn't a time to increase your future cost. There are too many uncertainties around how the economy will evolve after the COVID. We want to be very cautious. We want to ensure that all of our cost elements are as limited as possible. I think that's kind of like on staying afloat. I'll also say that it's a time as well to connect with each and every one of us. It's a time to connect with others. It's for us as an organization. Something that is really scary for me as a person is the amount of poor people in Lagos. And if this continues to be our situation, how do you tell a person who has not eaten or in a day to not go out? What kind of conversation is it guns you will use to enforce it? What would you use to deal with a menace of almost 18 million people that are living in extreme poverty in a place? And as a way of supporting this effort, where in the next few days, we'll be putting out something we're calling helpnow.ng. We've gathered data of 5 million Lagosians who are living in extreme poverty. We've worked with the World Bank, the telecom companies mostly. The telecom companies have the most, in my view, the most advanced data on, or the most reliable data on day-to-day economic activities. How people use their phones say a lot about them. Where their phone sleeps, where their phone wakes up in the morning, where their phone is between 9 and 5, who calls them, the people they call, and the attitude they have around all of their phone activities. So we've analyzed this deeply, and we've extracted almost 5 million records of Nigerians who live in Lagos that we think may be within this problem. And we want to present them to all of you. I don't think the government at this time can even afford to solve this problem. I think it's high time we all come to that reality. So every one of us will have the opportunity to see a particular person in a particular location, understand who they are, and primarily support them directly ourselves. We'll also have the opportunity to even get these people's contact details, anybody we support. So in case you want to reach out to them, we want to provide more emotional support through the phone. We also want to validate that they truly received the help we gave. So that's kind of like the work we're attempting to do as a company, as our own contribution to solving this current pandemic. I'm going to repeat a few things, and I guess Dr. Miwa, I'm not sure whether this will move into questions, but I'm just going to repeat a few things. So first is that every business must think about digital. How do I become digital? To become digital, we've thought about it in 3 ways that I think could be helpful to you. One is, how do my products and services make people less touchy? So this is a question we're really asking ourselves. So for example, we have a bank that is digital. Oh, that means people will touch cashless. How do we communicate that message effectively at this time? 2 is, how do we enable interactions between us and our customers? Because interactions that we've done in maybe half digital, half physical before, now needs to be completely remote. So we're asking ourselves those questions. 3 is, how do we extend ourselves? What are the new ways, new ideas? Because every problem and every situation presents an opportunity. What are the new ideas we can come up with in a bid to serve our customers better and be positioned better as a business? Business will be a lot about interactions than propositions. People would forget what happened during COVID. I guess, I don't know if many of us have read about the Spanish issue. It happened many years ago. Over 50 million people died, but it's not in reference today. But people will not forget the people that did things for them at that time, the businesses who stood for things at that time. So I think it's important that we position for that. I'll leave it at that, and I'll just pass it back to Dr. Olumuyiwa. Thank you for listening to me. I've been hearing myself talk for so long. Thank you for listening to me as well. So Dr. Olumuyiwa, I don't know if you're there.
Yeah, I'm here actually. I'm here. Thank you so much. I think there's some applauses in the chat room already. People are clapping for you. Thank you, Yomi. I appreciate you. So thank you. No, don't mute yourself. You can't afford to mute yourself. I'm going to unmute you actually. So I need you to be actively talking to us. So let me do that right away. Unmute your me. Yes, I think your me is unmuted now. Are you? Unmute. Unmute.
Yes. Yes, I am.
Okay, fine. Thank you, Yomi. Yomi, thank you very much for all you shared. You actually answered all the questions. There was something you were trying to find out earlier on. You don't know the spread of the audience in this meeting. So the audience here, we have registered participants across businesses that are into construction. We have construction here. We have people into IT. We have people into human services, social work, as it were. We also have a number of people who are into, I'm trying to scroll through to read now, software development. There are people who are also into private business. So consulting, IT consulting, ventures support. There's someone here whose company helps other small businesses to grow. So we have that here. Thank you, Yomi, for all that you have shared. I don't know, do you want to speak a little bit more before I start to draw in the questions? To everyone listening, you can please send your questions into the chat room. I'll also be bringing up Kemi Onobanjo very shortly to speak to what her own community is doing to supporting people at this time. But I have about 3 questions already in. You can begin to send in your questions. Yes, I think we should take 2 questions from you, Yomi, while Kemi gets ready. John Akinola says, how can small businesses leverage data to make transitioning moves? How can small businesses leverage data in making transitioning moves? And then the second one is from AY. AY is saying, I understand you can make a service less touchy. I mean, we're trying to talk about the fact that now that we cannot have physical interactions anymore, or physical interactions reducing. I mean, AY is saying, I understand you can make a service less touchy, but how can you make a product less touchy? How can you make a product less touchy? You can make a you can make a service less touchy, but how do you make a product less touchy? We can take those 2 questions, and then we would allow you rest a bit, and then Kemi will speak, and then we'll come for a final wrap-up.
All right, thank you, Doctor. Let me start on the question of data. And let me say that data in itself is a statement of fact. And businesses who have keyed into the idea of data and what this statement of fact means have really evolved in different ways. And to answer your question very directly, what you interpret from data, think about that as information. So I'll give you an example. If I say that 200 people visit Lagos Island every Monday, and 300 people rather, visit Lagos Island every Tuesday, you can take 2 types of information from it. Don't forget, at the first level, it's solely a statement of fact, so which is data. At the level of information is where human's own intelligence comes into play. So you can say, for example, 500 people visit Lagos Island Monday and Tuesday. You can also say that Tuesdays are the only time that more people visit Lagos Island. You can interpret that in any way. So let me go to the next layer, which is insights, which now really for me, I like to put it simply as combining other sources of information and data to almost like extract a course of action or a course of decision from information and data available to you. I think every business must make a conscious effort to do a couple of things if they will benefit from data, information, and insights. which is one, you must know your customers. Many people serve customers today. They don't have any database of these customers. They are unable to account for who these customers are. They believe that customers on their mobile phones is good enough. You must move all of your customers to somewhere you can organize very properly. I think that's one. Two really is data never lies. And it's important that no matter how emotionally attached you are to the ideas that are driving your business, you look into what exactly is the business saying to you? Because data really sometimes is what the business saying, is what this business is saying. What you're saying, you do so in your emails, in your meetings, in your engagement with your customers, but the business also always talks to you. The real question is, are you listening? So what is your business saying? What is your business saying about what customers are most important to it? What is your business saying about what products are moving the most in the market? What is your business saying about what people are performing the most? What is your business saying about the operating environment you're working? What is also your business saying about your margins? I think actively putting in a mechanism in place to consciously answer these questions using data can empower any business to success. Now, I wasn't particularly sure what the business the person is involved in, so I can't speak directly to that particular business. But I would say that every business must attempt to organize its customers, organize its cost and revenue, organize its people, and organize what are the drivers of its business in a way that they can look at very factual data about it, not what they think, not their own ideas. Almost, I just have 50 customers. If I want to ask a question today, just to buttress this question, if I was going to ask, can everybody tell us how many customers they have? You should be able to say precisely, I have 2,000 customers. If your customer is your product, you need to know them and organize them in a particular place. I can share my email. I'm happy to speak more precisely to some of the ways we're thinking about data engineering, what data is doing for us as an example. We're taking it to a whole new level around how we're applying it to our business. For example, data is informing us what are the times to do remote before this ever happened. Data is informing us on what do we need to do around changing policies in the company. So I'm happy to kind of like share some of the specific things that we're applying data to within the business. And now we're even also using data to serve our customers. My email is y@softcom.ng. If you send me an email directly, I'm happy to provide some more information. I think the second question was around how do you make a product less touchy?
Yes, it says, I understand you can make a service less touchy, but how can you make a product less touchy?
All right. I think a product can be less touchy in the following way. Whether it's a product or a service, one thing I believe we all agree on is it needs a customer. And every product has a defined way you can utilize it. So for example, if you're selling shoes, let me use a shoe example again. A customer will need to touch the shoe, but you can innovate how the customer got access to the shoe, how the customer interacted with your business, how the customer got delivery of the shoe. You can think deeply around how do you make those things very interaction driven, very digital centric, more than touchy. Touchy not just because of Corona, but we're moving into a world where all of a sudden the internet is now going to be a place where we will all be living and we'll all be doing business, not just because we want to, but now we're now constrained by a pandemic. And after the pandemic, these habits that have been formed from Zoom meetings to Google Hangouts to emails will now become a part of us a lot more. How do we now use that opportunity to drive the idea of making how we serve our customers less touchy? It helps, it simplifies. One of the things I've seen it do is it helps with standardizing how our customers experience our business. The more we do so digitally, you can standardize that every single customer will go through these stages. Every single customer will read this type of information, and we can pre-think about those things well. So I think that's like what I can say to how do you make a product less touchy? There are things we will still have to touch. But I believe that this moment should be shaping all of us in many ways to think about our company as digital companies, no matter what we're selling, what we're putting out to the market. If our customers live in the digital space or are going to be in the digital marketplace, how do we also make our companies that ready and that responsive to this new and emerging reality that may be a part of us as we continue to move on? So those are like my thoughts on the two questions.
All right, thank you, Yomi. I'll come back to you in a bit because I want you to be able to tell us how we can be part of that, how we can be part of reaching the 5 million people that your company is trying to reach, the activity you're spearheading. I mean, except you want to say that Softcom is capable of reaching all of them.
No, that's not the idea, actually.
Okay. Yeah, surely. So I'll come back to you to tell us if there are some specific things we need to do. Do we need to talk to someone? Do we need to how do we get involved? What are the layers of engagement and partnerships that we can participate in? Thank you, Yomi. I'll come back to you in a bit while you take some water digitally.
Thank you.
All right, I want to bring up Kemi Onobanjo Joseph.
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, hello, Kemi. How are you?
How are you? I'm well. How are you doing?
Thank you for joining in this interaction today. First of all, give me your impressions about the conversation so far.
No, I think, Yomi, you haven't been hearing the applause, so I'm going to clap on behalf of everybody who's muted. Thank you so much for this very insightful and well thought through discussion. I think people that know me, I'm going to introduce myself very quickly. I do not run a business yet, but I do lead a small team in the Covenant University Alumni Association, in addition to my 9 to 5 as a consultant. And part of my interest in joining the conversation was really thinking through how do you manage, a team of people through this uncertainty. And Yomi, I think you have, done very well in simplifying it, making it very simple and giving action points that, we can go and execute in the next 1-2 days. I took a lot of notes, and I don't take a lot of notes, but I took a lot of notes this time. So thank you. I'm just going to talk about what we're doing as an association. I know not everyone is a member of Koala, but I think regardless of whether you're a member of the Alumni Association or not, this is one example of how we're thinking through people and our operating environment. Yomi mentioned these 4 dimensions you need to think about as you navigate this unprecedented times: products and services, people, customers, and the operating environment. And I can just talk about people and operating environment in the context of what we've done at Koala. So on the people side, we have a team of people working with us, and part of the initial, we have some people in Ogun State and we have some people in Lagos. And I remember having to make a decision around them working from home, even before there was a mandatory shutdown in Lagos. And it wasn't very convenient, but at that point, it was really thinking safety first, and thinking through how do I make sure that, my team is safe and healthy and out of harm's way. Some of these people have cars and they drive, but some of them, take public transport to work. And that exposes them to the risk of contracting the virus. And so, making that decision was a bit difficult, but it was a decision we had to make. And, I had the final call to make that decision. And I'm actually glad we were 1 week ahead of the rest of the country, because at least, the team already felt safe, felt supported. And, they were able to do some of their work from home. So that's one thing in terms of our people. I think the other thing, example that I would share in terms of what we've done for our people was then thinking through who are members of our association who need support at this time. And then we, launched an initiative, Lift an Eagle, Lagos edition, and now we actually have the Abuja edition ongoing. And it was essentially to help provide, groceries for about a month, so 1 month's worth of groceries to people who were being affected or would be affected by the impending shutdown. As Yomi explained, not everybody can afford to stock up. There are a couple of memes going around saying, I wanted to panic buy, but then I looked at my account and I realized all I could do was panic, because not everyone has, it was funny, but to be honest, that was the meme that actually triggered me to think about, there are people who cannot afford to panic buy. There are people that cannot afford to go and stock up their houses because either they are unemployed or they are self-employed and their own customers have been impacted, or they just don't have enough to be able to do that bulk purchasing. And so we, launched this initiative to support people and deliver, these groceries to them that will last them for about a month, while we hope and pray that things would get better. And to be very honest, it really helped with engagement within the community because we could not afford it all by ourselves. And so we made a call and asked people, to reach out and support the cause. And we got a lot of people, reaching out, people, 5,000 here, 10,000 there, but we're really then able to reach, over 50 people in Lagos who signed up for it. I think the other thing is, you can offer help, but you cannot impose help. And so even as you think about supporting people through this time and supporting your staff and supporting, people in your operating environment, you just also need to be thoughtful about how to do it in a way that is not forceful, is not patronizing, and does not take away from their dignity. So of course, we would never publish the names of the people we supported or anything like that, but we made sure that, they got the support. And then we realized Abuja was also going on a lockdown, and then we had to do the same thing in Abuja. It forced us to think outside of the box because I wasn't going to go to the market to go and buy those things. And we did it in partnership with other alumni-run businesses. And so that's almost, an ecosystem that gives to itself. So in Lagos, it was Food Jar that we worked with, fresh food distribution company, and we just, bought a package from them and asked them to deliver to all these people. And in Abuja, we're working with an individual who runs a small business and another established alumni-run company to be able to reach people. So it's almost a gift that keeps giving because you're supporting your alumni businesses, but you're also supporting your people. Finally, I think this thing around being sensitive about the communication of the messaging. So we were supposed to start a dues campaign this month. April was the month where we're supposed to start saying, all right, guys, you need to pay your dues, X, Y, Z. But we've had to halt that. And this is, I think, to Yomi's point around being sensitive to the times. This is not the time to try to ask anybody to pay any dues because you don't know, what the economic impact of this has been on people. I know people personally who've lost their jobs. I know people whose salaries have been slashed. And it's just overall quite insensitive to begin to ask for money now. So this is also how you can make sure that you don't get insensitive and you can be quite, mindful about the communication that you put out now. The other thing was we're supposed to do a live stream next week, which was supposed to talk about investing in real estate. Of course, you can't be thinking about investing in real estate when, again, your livelihood is likely threatened and you're uncertain about it. And so we've had to pivot and think about, okay, what topic would be most useful and most valuable to people in this time? And it's really things around how do you maintain productivity while you work from home, especially if you're a parent and, you also have to be a full-time homeschooling teacher. And so we're changing things and adapting things to make sure that it is sensitive to the current times and it really serves the community because this is what is top of mind for people. So that's on the people side, right? How are we supporting our community, which is our stakeholders and our staff? The second one is on your operating environment. As Yomi said, yes, you can do so much. Charity begins at home, but you also need to extend your reach beyond just your small community and your small family. I know a lot of people in their personal capacity have, you know, supported people in their neighborhoods, and I would encourage you to continue to do that. But as a community, what we've done is, again, to partner with Fuja, who's doing a feed 50,000 people in Lagos challenge. Almost, you know, what Yomi is also trying to do. There's never going to be too much of it, honestly. And we've partnered with them, and we've made, you know, our initial seed donation for them to be able to reach, feed 50,000 people in Lagos over this lockdown period. So they're going to the most vulnerable communities to reach the people who, as Yomi described, cannot afford to live and eat if they don't go out to work. And so this, you know, stay-at-home lockdown is essentially hindering their capacity to fend for themselves. And so we're partnering with them to feed those people, and any other worthy causes that we see, based on, you know, how much we can also afford, we will partner with as well. So I think I just wanted to highlight, you know, around people and around the operating environment, the things that we've done so far. And there are many other things we're, you know, thinking about. You know, how do we get people uplifted and encouraged? I like your point around mental health. You know, is there things that we can do to offer some mental health support to our communities? Is there something we can do around connectivity and encouraging people to, you know, get on Zoom calls, video Zoom calls, or get on the House Party app, or whatever else is trending, you know, to really just come together and interact? Because we're seeing that even though we spend so much time on our phones, we actually do miss seeing people, you know, and interacting with people, and we want to make sure that we're able to provide that to the community. Thank you. I think that pretty much summarizes.
Thank you, Kemi. Thank you, Kemi. And I mean, the reason I've asked you to share was particularly because I wanted other people to see reasons to take action this period. The inaction would not deliver the kind of results that we want. Yomi has shared a lot. What we're going to do is we're going to share the video, I mean, the recording, not necessarily the video now, the recording of this interaction. We're going to also try to do a transcription of the salient points, and then we'll share with all those who registered to be part of this. I'll take one more comment, and then I'll ask you to wrap the meeting up with closing remarks. Let me take Dr. Stephen Oluwatobi. He's the director of Hebron Startup Lab. You are responsible for incubating and supporting small businesses. How has it been so far this season?
Business is good.
So let's hear your impressions.
All right, sir. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Yomi. That's actually an amazing stuff. Like I told them, Dr. Oludayo, I'm actually a student in this class. I came here to learn. And it was when I saw your picture that I said, I need to be in this class. And so I can also learn from some of the things that you're doing. Thank you very much. I totally agree with absolutely every single thing that you said, because it's actually true. That we can't meet physically does not mean that business can go on, that life can really go on. More so, there are the positives and there are the negatives. And I also believe, from my economics viewpoint, looking at my background in economics, there is this philosophy that I believe in, that a crisis is a terrible thing to waste. A crisis actually gives us the opportunities to do things. But this is the question I have, and I would like to hear from you, Yomi, on this. Let me also acknowledge Kemi. Kemi, are you there? Thank you very much for your contribution as well, and also for helping to promote a number of things that the alumni is doing. God bless you richly. I appreciate what you're doing. Yomi, this is to you. I have a question. Knowing what we do at Covenant, and looking at the education system as a whole, I'm one of the persons who think that something is wrong with our education model generally. Considering a situation like this, where there's uncertainty in the real world, and the education model somehow does not fit in terms of what kind of solutions are we preparing our students to have or to build by themselves to fit into this kind of uncertain world. So what would you tell education institutions, whether they be high schools or colleges, in terms of preparing students for an uncertain world like this? What should students begin to focus on? What should educators begin to do? From what angle should we view this? So this is my question.
I need your final words, even before Yomi takes over.
Yes, please. Not my final words, but my question.
Oh, okay, final words on this call.
Thank you a lot. You're my lecturer, and yeah, you'll always be my lecturer, Dr. Stephen. Thank you so much. All right, so I think there are three key questions that I feel like our learning institutions at every level needs to be asking themselves. And I don't have answers to these questions. I just believe these are questions we must now carefully think about and try to answer in a bit to prepare ourselves for what you've also acknowledged as an uncertain world. And I think the very first question is, what should people be learning? I think that's a really important question to really ask. When education was designed way too many years ago, it was not for the society that we currently live in. It was for a different society. And if you look at the issue of education, before the structure was changed, people used to work before they went to school. And that's what the structure of education was before what it became now, at least at the higher tertiary level. So I would say that there are key questions. So number one really is, what should people be learning for this uncertain world that we're approaching? And there's a certainty in this uncertain world. The certainty is things are always changing. That is certain. If things are always changing, what should we be teaching people? That means we may not be able to even give them knowledge. We may need to teach them how to learn, right? Because if things are always changing, that is certain, they must always be equipped with knowledge on how to continuously learn. I recently took a course on learning how to learn from an Indian university, possibly one of the most important things I've done in recent times, because there's too much to learn now. What do I learn? What do I focus on? So I think that's the one question. The second question is, how should they be learning? Should they be learning in what we've designed as classrooms today? Should they be learning in online, if that's where they need to learn? Should they be learning hybrid? I think it's an hybrid scenario for me. But what should they be? How should they be learning rather? Then the last question, or the last and third question, really is, what should they go after? Because schools and universities never really put too much thought. I think at the secondary and primary level, they take a lot of pride in guaranteeing that their kids make it into decent high schools from primary school. And if you're in high school and you have a private one, as an example, all of them like to brag about how many of their kids got into good universities as a way to continue to promote teaching. But for universities, it's never really much anymore. I think it's important that universities now actively think about where do people go after. Because if you're training people and there are no jobs, really, like, so why are we even learning? Or if there were training people and the opportunities that exist in our society aren't as invisible, or they can't take advantage of it because of the skills they have. So I think schools must think about what should people be learning for a certain world that is continuously changing with uncertainty. How should they be learning it? And where should they go after? I think those questions, I believe, are now for emerituses like you, sir, to go kind of like really figure out what are like the best ways to answer them. But I think those things will shape where we will go as a human race in learning. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Yomi. So now, Yomi, I'll allow you to just give us a final word and let us know, maybe just wrapping up, just to encourage that small business owner that has already laid off some of his staff. Because recently I read that a big hotel, I think Marriott offered her staff 20% salaries. They cut their pay by 80% with a significant principle of not laying anybody off. But because of the kind of business they do, they see that they cannot afford to pay full salaries. People are not coming to use their services. And so maybe just one word of encouragement for that business owner that is not sure he can even scale through the next. I mean, some people were able to pay a bit this last month. Some people paid half. I know people who paid twice or thrice. They had to pay bit and bit and bit. but some people cannot even see how to do business, talkers of fulfilling those commitments you mentioned earlier on. So maybe a final word on that. And then how do we participate in this 5 million challenge?
Okay. I believe that adversity is where character is built. It's almost impossible to build character in good times because it's often easy to be anything when things are good. When things are bad is a true test of a human's values and a person's character. I think everyone must take this as an opportunity and a moment to truly stand for something, and whatever they stand for, to truly put in whatever is required to uphold their values. But also, I should also mention that this is a time for tough decision making. A business exists solely for the purpose of, I mean, if you remove the conversations about vision and purpose, and you bring this into a more economic conversation about what is the purpose of a business, you have offerings, you're going to have cost, and you need to make revenue. And revenue needs to be more than cost if you need to keep your business afloat. And it is possible that you may be going through a challenge at this moment that basically punctures that. And you need to make very tough decisions. Some of the tough decisions we're seeing globally is what Dr. Olumuyiwa just announced about the Marriott hotels. I personally believe that it should always be about people first as a person. But I also come from a place of tough times requires tough decisions and tough people. And you may need to renegotiate your salaries. You may need to create new structures around how you re-onboard your people. I think right now it is too early to do anything damaging, in my view, because we have to believe strongly that this is a temporary problem. It's not going to be with us forever. So if it's a temporary problem, we shouldn't leave permanent damages in people's lives, in our businesses, in things that we hold dear, that we believe are solutions to problems in today's society. But if it requires that we need to have conversations with our people, with our partners, with our vendors, whether there are financial commitments we can't meet, I want to really admonish everyone to be upfront. Don't wait for it to come to you, go to it. So if there's any commitment you have and you think the commitment may be affected in this period and you're already concerned, concern isn't the solution to the problem. What is the solution to the problem right now is to take an upfront step in reaching out to the people, in sitting down, in talking about these things, and in being transparent about it as well. I believe that all of us as humans have good in us. And if we're upfront, if we're methodical, if we're human-centered in our language, this is a time to speak in any derogatory form to anyone. No time at all is for that, but especially at this point in time. So I think we all need to ensure that, or need to bear in mind that our character as people will be built in this period. We should see it as a moment to really stand for the values we believe in. There are tough decisions we may need to make. We should not shy away from them. That is also part of building our character as leaders and as entrepreneurs. We should prepare for a digital world. If we are not ready, if our businesses today are not thought about as such, we need to start to think about it. And there are so many frameworks, guides online, people who have a lot of more capabilities in solving this problem. I know, like, Kemi is someone that, I mean, over the years of building Softcom as a company, I'm sure from like the first time, 2007 to this moment, we've caught up, whether it's once a year or twice a year or once in 2 or 2 years, that I'm always trying to gain a perspective on the things that we're doing. Find your own partners, find people you learn from. Dr. Olumuyiwa is also same with me as a person. So this is a moment to also really reach out to other people, to really try to learn from them, to really try to connect with them. Guys, there's nothing as important to an entrepreneur, as far as I'm concerned, than knowing that all your customers are now assembled in one place. Let's not miss that opportunity. All of our customers today have turned their attention to the internet. We need to engage systematically We need to be sensitive. I think Kemi also buttressed that in our conversation. And we need to understand that at the end, humanity will win. So let's not offend humanity with our actions. You know? Humanity will always win at the end. And most people will never forget the decisions we took, the things we stood for, and how we approach this moment. I don't know if that's encouraging enough. I think
it is. Humanity will win. I like that quote. Humanity will win. I like the fact where you said we should not try to speak harshly to anyone at this time. These issues are temporary, and you don't want to take a very drastic decision on a temporary issue. You want to be able to ensure that you still have people who have helped you to succeed up to this point. You still want to have them rooting for you, even in the face of challenges. You talked about adversity, and that reminded me of one quote I read many, many years ago by Charles Colton. Charles Colton said, "The firmest of friendships are formed in the days of adversity." The firmest of friendships are formed in the days of adversity. I mean, you talked about the fact that you can possibly not do anything so grand when there's abundance. You cannot even really think so straight. You possibly cannot develop character in all of those things. So, I mean, thank you so much. But Yomi, final word from you. Kemi is saying she doesn't know what she has done to deserve the kindness, but she's happy.
She likes to minimize our capacity and our level. She likes to. I don't know why.
Oh, amazing!
Thank you, Kemi, all the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Yomi, you said something very important. Partnerships. We should know our partners, our customers as partners, our businesses as partners, and all of that. Thank you. So now, Yomi, tell us, how do we partner with you? How do we partner with you to execute this project that is before you? Many of us have not initiated any project. Maybe we are scared because we cannot be starters or initiators or creators. Maybe we just want to jump on something that's going on. Do you mind telling us?
Let me say first that the food jar that Kemi mentioned as well is who we are partnering with to try to get food to either of these 5 million people. So once the platform is launched, you can go there, pick a person. We have aged people over 60 years old. We have hawkers. We have petty traders. We have market women. We have plumbers and drivers. And we've attempted to organize this information in the most organized way we can, just so you can select a group of people you want to go give to. So some of the ways you can be a partner is to partner someone to survive in this period. I think for me, that's almost the most important thing. I jogged this morning, and as I was jogging, I came across 30 people at the estate gate, about 30 Hausa people. They had started carrying placards called "Help Your Neighbor," and they were about to start knocking gates one by one. And I knew one wrong statement to either of them could lead to some catastrophe within the neighborhood. So for me, the step I had to take was, you know what, guys, can you postpone this riot, this thing for 1 month? Just tell me, you know, how do you survive in a month? How can I support you in that process? Let all of us just wait for 1 month. Let's not get agitated yet. So the best thing you can do to support our efforts now is to find someone to help, either on the platform as we'll put out, in your own neighborhood, in your own community. I really like what Covenant Alumni is doing. I know myself and Kemi haven't necessarily gotten into the details yet, but we've also been speaking about, as a company, we want to work with more people from our alumni. So we'll continue to learn, also to share what are areas to partner with us, to work with us, where we feel that we're working on very complex problems. And we feel as well that because these problems are complex because they've been there, some of them over 50 years, some of them have received tons and tons of billions in dollars in an attempt to solve them, and they've still not been solved. We feel that the evidence of our work will take some time to come to fruition, or will take a huge amount of time to come to fruition. Some of the ways you can support our effort as well is to actively look at the things that we're doing and to see one is of benefit to you as a business leader. I'm happy to, I mean, we're remote, so happy to get on the call. Yeah, I'm always trying to make my Fridays and Saturdays non-calendarized, just so I can take any impromptu remote calls. It's also part of planning for remote, even though that's not really working. There's no difference between day and I don't know how you guys are dealing with remotes, but for me, I don't know the difference between day and night anymore. It's just all the same, all too much. Just work. I think we're even working too much more than.
I think so too. I agree with you. I think I'm working more. For me, since we started the first remote work, I think I'm actively on work more than I have been. People are calling me at odd hours that they would never have called me before.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's amazing.
All right. So put it out soon. I think it'll be called helpnow.ng. I'm not sure it's live yet. But once we do so, I'm sure Dr. Olumuyiwa as well will share it with everybody that's been on this call. I'm really grateful for everybody that joined. Thank you. I would love if I could also like learn from other people, maybe next time when you're doing another call. And I'm also happy to learn from any session you're having next. Please
sir.
let me know as well.
All right. So moving the vote of thanks on our behalf today is Dixon and Suffolk. Dixon and Suffolk is also a CEO. You possibly know him.
I know Dixon. Dixon, my friend. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Okay, so Dixon, let's hear you now.
Can I please see your face, please? You're not beard now. Where's
Dixon, where are you?
I'm going to show my face. I'm going to try. I look like shit.
I'm sure you have beard.
I have so much beard. Let me see. I don't know what I look like. Can you see me? Hey, guys.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, we can see you.
You look like Professor Dixon.
Yeah.
It's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you, sir. I'm humbled.
Dixon is in the crypto world. So what's happening in the crypto world this season?
So I wouldn't say as you all know, for those who know me, I think I have a professorship or a doctorate degree in failing. So I've ran.
Oh my God!
I've run through easily in the last 10 years. I've run through four failed startups. So I think by the way, if I continue, shout out to Kemi, Stephen Oluwatobi, and my big boss Yomi. I'm humble. I'm even frustrating, So I mean, I think one big thing for me is that, and I think every entrepreneur should always think in this way, is think about being anti-fragile. Anti-fragile is not being robust. Fragile things are things that can easily break. Robust things are things that are okay when they fall and they can't break. But anti-fragile means you are profiting from chaos. And so for us at Corapay, I think we already knew this crash was going to come. I mean, the real crash is not here. Many people have not seen it. And then I have some privileged information because I'm well connected to China, America, and Canada. So we were able to go remote as early as first week in February. We don't have a dime in Naira, So like there's so much I think like people should be able to get other than thinking about good things. I mean, like, again, being the guy that have failed so much, all I think about is failing. I'm not excited with winning anymore. And all I care about is, I care about the black swan events, things like Corona and things like, World War III and things like, Nigeria falling apart. And how do I build business that succeeds from such chaos? So piggybacking off Yomi's point is, I think every entrepreneur in the house should think about the essentials, right? What I do at Corapay, to just explain a bit about what we do, we failed in what we were doing with crypto. While we was really successful, we didn't find a clear path in market adoption. So we pivoted to become a payment infrastructure. So right now we build the tools necessary for companies, businesses, people that don't even understand payment to offer a digital payment experience on their platform seamlessly. So you could go to market with a wallet, APIs for collections, disbursements, card issuance and all sort of things in just 48 hours using Corpay. So that's what we do now. So I don't want to go down into the crypto world because, that's one place we've just gotten rescued from. So I think what I just want to say to the whole house is when think about being anti-fragile, right? And that's how I believe that those who have been able to make it through such rough situations like this. I mean, there's been a crash for the last 200 years and it's happened every 10 years. So we're just lucky it haven't even happened since 2008 till now. So it's bound to happen, right? So it's a trend. It's happened for 200 years. I don't think we're going to be lucky. So I think it's going to even get worse. So how do you build your business to survive worse situations? And I think if you can grab the book, it's Nassim Taleb, and the book is called Anti-Fragile, Things That Benefit from Random Disorders. And I think that's my little 2 cents, sir, doctor. And
okay.
I just think about how to be anti-fragile, how to benefit from random black swan events like this.
All right, guys, we've been here since 6 o'clock. It's almost 2 hours. And I know it's been worth the time. Yomi, once again, thank you so much. It's amazing. I mean, I had your notes before this meeting, but the way you spoke, I was asking myself, I mean, I had to read the notes again and I saw everything in the note, but the way you were speaking was like, where is this speaking from? But I now see that the way you write and the way you speak, I'll help you find alignment. I mean, so it's amazing. So guys, thank you so much. So what will happen after this is, for anyone who has not registered, I'm going to open up if you did not register for this event and you got the meeting ID somehow, I've just posted the registration link, or I will post the registration link. If you will send me an email, muyiwa@nathanleadgate.com, muyiwa@nathanleadgate.com. If you will send me an email, I will ensure to add your name to the mailing list that we would be sending all the updates to. Dixon just recommended a book, Anti-Fragile. I want to send you a link on how to get the book. There were some other persons have recommended some books in the chat room. I will also be sending that to you. I'll be sharing an ebook with you as well. It's titled Connecting with Others. It's my first ebook. I'm trying my hands. Next year I'll be 40, and I want to release 4 books next year, 1 book per decade. So I'm working on that, but just to see how we can share some thoughts in this. I will try to also share the transcript of Yomi's presentation to everyone. I will also send you the link to this recording. So Dixon, Yomi says I should hail you for him. He says, I really admire his drive to create a world he's desiring to see. David Oyemi is here as well. Everybody's sending their regards. Okay, so many questions are coming in the chat. Ayodeji Shadia is thanking you, Yomi, for the opportunity to learn from you. Nomsu Megida is saying, is anyone writing an article on how we could weather these storms in our businesses for further learning? I think the people in academia, they are part of this process. They are documenting the stories of this process for other things. There's a book I think I will also be recommending. It's called In Their Time. In Their Time is a Harvard Business Review book. It's a book that chronicles how businesses were created in the 21st century, decade by decade. So you look into that decade, you look into that 100 years, and you see where there were some challenges in some countries in the world. How did we still have the businesses that we have today? Some time ago, Mrs. Ibukunwawushika said, when she was celebrating 30 years of her business, she said, 30 years ago in Nigeria, some of the social amenities that we are complaining of today were not available. And today they are still not available. She said then that if she had waited for those things to be provided before moving, she possibly would never have moved. But today, in spite of all those unavailable amenities, she moved and her business has thrived. There's one big company, I mean, one of these health pharmaceutical companies, pharmacy, I think it's Health Plus. Health Plus marked 21 years just yesterday. In the midst of all of this crisis, people have found a way to keep moving in spite of the challenges. So if you catch hell, don't stop. If you go through hell, don't wait. All right? We trust that even in a storm, we will always find a way out. Everyone, thank you for coming. I really appreciate you. In the course of this meeting, we had over 60 people that joined. For those of you in the business of learning and registering people online, just know that when you have 150 people registering online, there's not 150 people that will eventually come to your event. Life will happen to some other people and they will not come. And some people will always also sneak into the meeting, whichever way. Well done, Yomi. I'm trying to read some of those things. Well done, Yomi. This will bring a shift to our education system. Higher education in the UK had no option than to move to virtual learning within a month. I hope we can learn one or two things in Nigeria. Yomi should be able to see the comments now because I've opened it to everyone. Joseph Ogidiolu says, thank you, Yomi. Thank you, Kemi. Kemi, God bless you. Luto, I see you. It's been a time well spent. Yomi said Lagos has moved to the TV. Ayode Yorebe, thank you. Joseph Ojo, thanks for also being a blessing to us at the master class earlier this year. Yes, I had a master class on goal setting this year. So many appreciations to you. I can't keep taking everyone. Mayowa Adedeji, thank you, doctor, for this opportunity. Very resourceful. I mean, thank you to Yomi. You guys, you need to have friends like Yomi in your life. Yomi talking about partnership. You need to have friends like him that can always help you see clearer perspective. Yomi said he also has Kemi in his life. He has Dr. Oluwatobi. Have people like that in your life. Okay, somebody's saying here that I did not register, but I kind of made the meeting. So somebody here sold our code, our password. Rachel Igomo said, thank you, Yomi and Kemi, for your time. I enjoyed this experience. Somi, all the way from United Kingdom. I hope you are quarantined. He's saying, thanks, guys. Fabulous session. Yomi Dixon is saying it's still your mentee. Michael Awono, the designer of the Softcom office, say huge thanks for the insights, Yomi and Kemi. Learned so much. I'm going to implement all I've learned in my business. Daniel Adeyemi, thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. We can keep reading and reading and reading. Thank you, Nathan Lidgate. All right. I never sold Nathan Lidgate to you all because that's not the purpose of this meeting, but you will always hear from us from time to time. Thank you, guys, for your time. We've spent exactly 1 hour, 48 minutes on this call. We will save the chats so that we can always refer to them. Your email again, they're asking for your email again. I think it's y@softcom.ng. I hope I'm correct. y@softcom.ng. y@softcom.ng. Thank you all, guys. Bye. Have a good time. See you tomorrow or see you in future. Keep safe. Woo. Glory.
Well done. Very nice.